Okay, I know some people are heading for the exits, others are coming in, so we'll get started because we have a lot to cover this afternoon. I'm Todd Miller with Chromia, the blockchain sponsors behind Chromia, the blockchain. And we're here with three really gifted game developers, game studios from actually across the world. So I think what we're going to do is, if I can find the clicker. Actually, if you go to the next one, or is there a clicker?
They got you.
They got me.
Yeah.
They got me. Great. So yeah, why don't we start with Lenny here? Can just give us a quick intro.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lenny. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm the managing director of a game studio called Enter Interactive, and also the CMO of our game we're developing called My Neighbor Alice, which is a multiplayer farming and builder game, sort of like a mix between Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley, where you can buy land, and it's a play-to-earn game. And yeah, it's built on Chromia blockchain. All game logic is on-chain, and that's why we kind of like working on Chromia, because it's really fast. And also, we're going to talk about Chromia Originals here, and one thing I like about that is that you can actually level up your NFTs. So if you tend to your land really well in the game, the characteristics is going to change and it's going to be worth more. So I know the same thing, if you don't tend to it, we'll go the other way.
Great. So we'll just do a quick intro because we're going to come back with some questions for the developers. But actually, I think the next slide we had like a little preview of Alice so people can see it. Was there a?
I think it's
one more here. Okay, one more. Okay. Yeah, Lenny, so this is a little preview of Alice, right?
Yeah, this is just a GIF, so it's, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is sort of the world we're building now. You're in the town running around, which is the main hub. But then you have all the islands in the archipelago where you can buy land, and the hub is also the main part where you get quests. And
okay,
yeah.
we'll come back.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go over to James. You can give a quick intro here. Or we'll go to Keith. My bad.
Sure. Oh, whoa. Hi, everybody. I'm Keith McCullough. I am the COO and kind of lead game designer for Working Man Interactive. We are a game studio that we make web games and mobile games and some kind of indie console games. Our best known one is probably Death State, which was like a roguelike shooter. We are currently working on Mines of Delarnia on the Chromia chain, which is a sci-fi space mining exploration game where there's got a lot of play-to-earn elements to it. People can own land and collect resources to craft cool things, cosmetics and upgrades, equipment, and go to mine deeper depths and stuff like that. So this is in development right now with our team at Working Man.
Great. And James, why don't you give a quick intro here?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is James. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Revolve Games. We've just recently announced our partnership with Chromia, so I'm really excited to be working with Todd and hopefully also with Lenny and Keith in the future. But essentially, we're a play-to-earn first thinking platform in which everything you do on our platform will help you increase your staking rewards over time. Our flagship product, which is coming sometime in the middle of next year, we're hoping to release a metaverse and through that also utilize our NFTs and it's really interesting because our NFTs are able to track your performance and your duration of gameplay and reward you with the correct amount of rewards. So yeah.
Great. So let's. I just wanted to talk. We'll go back here and just talk a second about who are we, Chromia. As I said, we're the project, the team of creators, technical developers, business people behind the Chromia chain. It's a CHR token. It's the company's actually rooted in, for people who are my age, is rooted back in colored coins. If people remember that. This is sort of an early Bitcoin protocol that our CTO developed along with some other colleagues. And it's actually kind of maybe the first NFT because it was an asset rooted in the Bitcoin blockchain. But it was very restrictive, and I don't think that the team back then ever imagined that the assets, they were focused more sort of on financial assets as opposed to maybe digital and creative assets where we're entering today. So Chromia is a general blockchain platform. We work in real estate, in DeFi, in supply chain, in music, but we're very focused on gaming just because it provides so many opportunities to really exercise all the great elements around transparency, around ownership, and with gaming around sort of fun and sort of asset exchange. So we're doing something that I think has been quite effective around the fact that we're kind of working from the top down, working with these studios like the folks up here today who can help inform what infrastructure they're going to need to run games that are not so much of the future but are of 2021 and 2022. This Chromia, this Originals Hub, is in some ways, it's a little bit of a response to some of the limitations we have today, particularly around the ERC 721 token, which is very good around liquidity and the sort of token exchange, but very limited with regard to what you can do with that token or the image or the NFT that pivots off of that token and so forth. So what we want to do is provide much more programmability into a token. So from a protocol perspective, NFT creators or NFT developers or game developers are able to program in more data into that NFT so it sort of stands on itself instead of having to refer back to a contract and so forth. So that'll provide greater portability as well as provenance around who created the token, who created the NFT, what are the restrictions on an NFT in terms of can another NFT be, I think the example was if you have a game item, a game asset, and it's a piece of armor that's an NFT, can that armor go with certain other game players and so forth in the game? So I think that's sort of a critical element of what we're trying to do with Originals. And then the other issue is really around the question of portability, meaning the idea here is, first of all, within the platform, within Originals, can we interact across games? I mean, that's the great dream of sort of the metaverse. Can I go from one game to another, from one metaverse to the other, and so forth? And the other thing is sort of this question of sort of programmability. So, but I really want to get to the developers here, the studios here. So I got a couple questions I want to ask, and we'll kind of go up the row here. First one being, and maybe I'll start with Lenny here. Lenny, so what for people who are in the audience who are either building a game, involved in games and so forth, how is it different from the sort of conventional game development? You came from your studio, started on working on conventional games, and now you're in blockchain. What should people know?
Quite a few things. I guess, but one fundamental thing is that if you decide to build an NFT-based game, and especially if you have your own token, you're not just a gaming studio anymore. You're a public company, and with that comes a whole different type of expectations. And whether they are realistic or not, that's the reality we're in. But it's also a lot of power in that, and in community. And the more they expect you to involve them very early. So ideally show the prototype, which you would never do in traditional gaming. But if you do that and let them in, there's also really big power in it. And that's what we did, and attended AMAs across the world, and everything from WeChat in Chinese I attended, and a lot of them in Southeast Asia, having thousands of people chanting moon, moon, moon. And then, so it's been an interesting journey. And then I've always been really strict, like we manage expectations and not like overpromise anything, but, and if you show the prototype, you're not really like showing a cinematic trailer to the audience. But yeah, after quite some intense period of that, it was time for our listing of our token, which happened March 15 this year, and the first few hours it increased 30,000%. And how do you manage those expectations? Basically, that your playbook is out the window and you just need to go on a very fast roller coaster ride, and that's what we're doing right now, and scaling up and just trying and also makes it possible to create an even bigger and better game than we had in the beginning. So yeah, it can be really.
It's much different when I think Alice had something like several $billion staked into the game on Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah, I think we hit the record at the time. Yeah.
Great. So Keith, from a working man perspective, you traditionally worked with big brands like Nickelodeon and Time Warner and ESPN and so forth. How's the change been, and what's your take on what people need to get into?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big thing that has been so different developing in blockchain in general is just that like so many of the problems of game design aren't solved yet, and it's really wide open and exciting and different and challenging. Mainstream gaming in many ways has been almost commoditized and very much sort of solved for many years. We have these huge companies that know exactly how to do everything, how to monetize, how to microtransact, all this stuff that is part of gaming at this point outside of the indie space. And none of that is figured out, even kind of sort of on blockchain right now. It's brand new. There's a million things to figure out. As you were saying, Lenny, like how do you manage the expectations of a community that has large investments in your game, that you have the spirit of decentralization and community and collaboration that you want to support while still trying to make a coherent project that is also a good game, and how do you kind of weave in these complex economies that have tokens and ownership and equipment. You were talking about crafting equipment that actually has real life value and isn't something we can just comfortably say, oh, we'll nerf that in the future if it's out of whack. It's really challenging and really cool and brand new. It feels like a throwback to an earlier era of gaming when you didn't have answers to all your questions.
Great. James, what's your perspective on just the change of the mindset change and the way you have to sort of position your organization to deal with a blockchain developed game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as all of you know, crypto and blockchain development is always moving very quickly. I've been working at Revolve for about 15 months, but it almost feels like I've been in the industry for 15 years because everything is moving so quickly. One thing that I would like to say is what Keith says is very true. Blockchain, or not even blockchain games, traditional game development is extremely time consuming and difficult, and I feel like more often than not people forget that certain processes and perhaps not completely tied to blockchain is going to take time, and a lot of people, if I scroll through our Telegram group, is when is the game coming out, and they're like, can you develop any faster, and to be honest, I think we're pretty much at maximum capacity with our development speed, and I think more often than not, given how quickly crypto and blockchain moves, people do tend to forget that games take time to develop, and especially high quality games. If you think about the more traditional studios, even Activision or Blizzard, they take 5, 6, 7 years to develop their flagship games. So I think it's a matter of time, and I would like to tell the audience to be slightly more patient, but it's a great future ahead. There are several great names out there that are close to finishing a prototype or even their actual release. So I think it's great times ahead.
Great. I was here in an earlier talk by the CEO of Dapper Labs, and I think folks are probably familiar with NBA Top Shot and some of the other work they're doing. And it's interesting if folks have interacted with that offering at all. It's sort of a limited marketplace still. So you get an NBA moment, you might get a LeBron James, but you still own the asset sort of within the NBA Top Shot world. And I didn't get a chance to ask them a question, but it sort of raises the issue of what does ownership mean in a game or an NFT. And I was thinking maybe we could start maybe with Keith to talk about like what does this say about ownership what is the evolution we're working through on with regard to NFTs?
Oh man, I mean, this is a little bit also what I was talking about before about we're still trying to figure that out. I think the whole industry is, and what does it mean to own a digital asset in a game context? It's an investment, it's a piece of entertainment, and like, how do we take this concept of saying that like I own something in the game world, on a level that goes beyond just me having it in a normal, traditional centralized game. And how does that actually matter? Like, I guess the trap is to fall into the old game design models where it's really exactly the same as an MMO used to be, except for now you have it on as an NFT, but like, so what? So I think trying to figure out like, what are bigger things we can do with that? How can we bring elements of like, you own part of the game world, you have a voice, you have a vote in the game development. You can bring in features like staking and things like that to like actually build on the product, kind of invest in it and have a voice in the development. And also use it as ways to build community and interoperability between games, so the games aren't all silos. I don't want to get ahead, I think that's kind of a larger topic, but there's a lot of potential for it to grow to something a lot greater than I just have a cool hat in a game. It's just at the moment, everyone's trying to figure out like, what is the path to make that something greater?
Sure. Lenny, what's your take on this sort of ownership question in terms of what's available today and what are some of the challenges that we're going to work through, that you guys are working through at Alice?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're tackling is, a lot of people out there invest quite a lot in gaming assets in NFT-based games now, and one way of looking at it that actually true ownership is that you actually can have instant access to that liquidity. If you put in, say for example, in My Neighbor Alice, through the land sale orders we've had, you paid 50 Alice, which today would be like $750. So when you pay that in, a part of that amount is going into a collateral pool, which will also be used to later on to earn interest for the NFT holders. But also, if you want to sell your asset, might take some time for you to find the right buyer, etc. We can, if you need liquidity today, you can request that collateralized amount, and we will transfer it over to you. We will lock the NFT, so you will not be able to play to earn with that specific NFT. And then, either when it's sold or you return that back in the pool, we unlock it, and you can use the NFT again. But in that sense, we can give our users instant liquidity. So that's something we're using Chromia Originals for as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. James, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm probably, you've all guessed by now, but I'm a gamer. I've had 2 accounts banned on Blizzard before for this specific reason. I sold items on WoW, number 1, and I sold items on Diablo 3, number 2. So what does ownership really mean in a gaming sense? It's absolutely different between Web 2 and Web 3 in that everything that you do in a game that is from a more traditional sense, an online game, you don't actually own any of that. If the servers were to be flicked off, all of your data is lost, all of your items are lost. But I guess Web3 is different to that in that you truly own that data. You truly own everything that you put your time in and effort and have worked for. So I think that's an interesting sort of distinction in terms of ownability, and that's why I think blockchain games are really going to drive understanding and knowledge of what NFT ownability means to the greater crowd, and so it's a really interesting topic, NFT ownability.
Yeah, I have a question. We only have like 5 minutes left, and I know there's a lot of NFT creators in the room and are there at the conference. So if I'm creating a bored donkey, Keith, can I get in your mining game? Can I?
You want to
so just really the question of creators, and they want to get on your platform or Alice or in Revolve. How do you face off against the creator who says that it sounds like a great platform for me to be involved in. How can I do that?
Sure. So like you want to add your donkey to my game, or
Your mine, are there donkeys?
to our game?
Are there donkeys in mines? I don't know.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
So the fact that I just said, my game is part of the problem, right? Is it is kind of like a big part of this is it is not just my game, and it's everyone's. It's the community's, and that's one of the things that's different in this new system. So, I think there is going to be tension between adding just a bunch of random stuff to games so that they become this kind of incoherent jumble, and also allowing people to contribute elements and allowing the community to help build the game and make things together. I think systems have to be developed to figure out how that works, whether this is voting sort of structures or panels or something to decide what's appropriate, because as this system grows and as everyone has more NFTs that are actually game-enabled content in the ecosystem, and you want them to be interoperable between products, that's awesome, and I think everybody wants that. And you talk about a game shutting down and losing your equipment. Well, if the game shuts down and you still have a hat, but no game to use that hat in, do you really have a hat? So if we can get it so that these things can work in multiple places, that's amazing. We just have to figure out how to make that make sense, so it doesn't become every game is just a jumble of random stuff.
Sure.
And that's one of the problems I think everyone's trying to solve, and we're really actively trying to explore right now, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Lenny, same question for you. I mean, if you look at some of the sort of look and feel of Alice here, it's got a certain sort of design approach and so forth. But for sort of creators out here, how do you sort of think about them? Can you get a special island for them and so forth, like in Alice?
Maybe, you never know. But I mean, right now we're having a very distinct art style, and it's probably more narrative and story driven than a lot of the other games out there today on the blockchain. But I mean, right now we're developing it in one direction, and we really want to work with artists out there, but we might be more selective so it fits the game. I mean, we have a really neighborhoody feel in our archipelago, so we probably don't want to have like violent content and stuff like that. But I mean, eventually it might go in another direction than we have set out now. I mean, it will be up to what the community wants in the long run. But right now we're looking for partnerships with creators out there that can enhance what we're building right now.
Great. We just have like two minutes left. I have another question if no one else does, but are there any questions from the audience about this? Yeah, please.
As you guys are thinking about COPPA compliance for like NFTs, like I think probably kids are going to be able to, buy an NFT more so than a parent, right? To be able to navigate it, at least for like general moms or dads out there, right? So I work at Slumber Kids. We help kids with their feelings, like social emotional learning. So just how are you sort of planning for the law of protecting kids, right? We want to protect kids, but they're going to want to be into NFTs, like you work with Nickelodeon, right? So you understand that. So I'm trying to navigate that for our brand. It's like, should we do this? Like we're trying to protect them with their emotions, health, like mental health, right? So I don't know.
Sure. I think maybe Keith, you're in a good position. I know you work
Yeah.
with a lot of kids games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh, good. No, yeah, COPPA compliance is a real challenge. I think it's very similar to the problem that regular gaming faces, which is, when you have online-enabled things where you can't control the content, like how do you make sure things are appropriate for kids? And I don't think every game is going to be appropriate for every player. When you have something like Alice, where it's definitely very family friendly, and mine's also is pretty family friendly design, that's part of the question about what content do you allow to be brought in, and how do we police content that's being put into the game if there is a bit more of an open channel that goes beyond just the creative control. I don't have anything like a hard answer. I have like a lot of like thoughts and theories about it, so maybe it's a good thing to follow up on. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a really interesting challenge, is making sure this is a safe space for people as well as entertainment.
Yeah, we actually were gonna, it's to end in about 20 seconds, so we're gonna stand be outside after if you want to meet with any of the studios here, ask any follow-up questions. Also, I can talk to you if you're interested in learning more about originals and how to not work the projector here. I can also give you insight into that. But thanks, you've been a really great audience. Great talking to you. Look forward to continuing the conversation with you.
And we have a bag of
Thank you.
Alice merch out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's merch in the back.